Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be trying a brand new foundation, the new Fenty Soft'Lit Naturally Luminous Longwear Foundation. I love Fenty products, so I was excited to see them release something new. So I did buy mine from Sephora and we're gonna try it out today. I'm gonna wear it, give you my first impression, and we'll do a wear test today as well. If you're new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on YouTube. So please subscribe if you haven't already. We would love to have you here. And let's just get into the foundation. Let's get into this brand new foundation. I was really excited to see Fenty release something new. I really like Fenty in general as a brand. So anytime they release something, I'm very interested in trying it. So this is what it looks like. It's a really pretty bottle. It's frosted, it's glass. It's really nice. It has a pump, obviously, which I love to see. And a little bit about this foundation. It does come in 50 shades, which is amazing. Fenty never disappoints with the shade range, which I really appreciate. And something interesting about this foundation, I was looking at the description. It says that it is a hydrating, glowy foundation. It is waterproof and it reduces shine for a notch above a natural finish. So I don't know, a notch above a natural finish. So I'm thinking it's luminous, but maybe not a typical luminous foundation. I typically love a natural finish, so that's very appealing to me. It says it's medium coverage. Natural is the finish that Sephora classifies it as. It's liquid foundation, obviously, and it's long wearing. The foundation that gives you a golden hour glow in a bottle, which sounds amazing to me. Improves the look of skin tone immediately and over time while resisting sweat, humidity, and transfer. So a lot of claims, a lot of claims. A little bit about my skin. If you've never seen my videos before, I have normal skin. In the hotter months, particularly summer, I would say, so we're kind of veering into the season where I can get a little bit oily, like in my T-zone, but I wouldn't classify my skin as oily or dry. I would say it's very normal. I have sensitive skin, but I don't really fall into a dry or oily category. So my skin is pretty normal. I typically like something more on the natural finish side. I don't always love extremely glowy or extremely matte. I really prefer something that kind of falls in between typically. All right, I purchased the shade 230. I did order mine from Sephora, so I did not see them in person. So I just guessed basically on my shade. I do find in the past when I've bought Fenty complexion products, so the skin tint stick, the new concealer, I find that her fair light shades, to me, they're very light. When I'm fair in my natural skin tone, I'm usually a light neutral undertone. Right now, I have a little bit of color, so I'm not as fair as I typically am. My body is not. My face is, because I don't self-tan or put my face in the sun. I try not to. So typically I am a light neutral undertone. I do find in Fenty complexion products, light neutral is usually too light. I don't love the light neutral shades typically. So I went up a little bit in the shade, and I also thought that that might help since we're going into summer now and I'm gonna have more sun. I've been self-tanning, so I got this shade because of that. So this is shade 230. This is supposed to be a light medium with neutral undertones. I don't know, we'll see when we apply it. It definitely looks slightly warm to me, but sometimes you really have to blend everything out to see the true color on your skin. I'm just gonna put a little bit more on the back of my hand. And I'm going to use the, the Sigma F48, the soft coverage brush. I do not have any primer on my skin. I did use my sunscreen that I use all the time, and I know it doesn't cause any problems, which is this one, the Skin 1004. That's the one I use when I know I'm testing a new complexion product and I don't want anything to interfere, because I never have trouble with that. So I would say it's not a super fluid formula, as you can see, but it's not thick feeling at all. It's very thin, but it's definitely not a super like watery formula. All right, so I have some left on the back of my hand, but I'm just gonna start with this since I have not used this before. I do love the Fenty Eavesdrop. Well, I like both of them, the stick and the original Eavesdrop. I love those, both of those. My preference is for the original Eavesdrop that's in the little tube. I love both of those, and in those, I have the shade 3, which is a good match for me when I have no color at all on my skin. But I like both of those from Fenty. All right, so here is one layer applied. The coverage is decent with that first layer. I think this is a pretty solid medium coverage right now. I do not ever bring foundation under my eyes. I use color corrector and concealer, so that's why I don't have anything here. I don't like foundation under my eyes. I do think it definitely has a glow. It's definitely not the glowiest foundation I've ever seen though. It has like a more of a natural skin kind of glow, not to the point where it looks like metallic glow, you know, and there's no like shimmer or anything that I can see. It's sitting really nicely on my skin. It doesn't look heavy at all. It looks hydrated and slight luminosity is how I would describe it. Pretty decent coverage. I don't know about the undertone. I don't know how neutral this undertone is. I still think it leans warm, and I feel that I've noticed that with Fenty complexion products in general. Even the neutral shades can often lean warm. This one looks a little bit warm to me. I think it's something I can definitely work with when I have a self tan or natural tan. I think this shade is okay, but keep that in mind. If you're true neutral undertone, maybe look at the shades before you order one. Let's see how or if it's buildable at all. So I'm gonna take just a little bit more. I like the texture of it a lot. It is very, very thin. I'm just gonna see how it does if you add more on top, because some foundations do well with that and some do not. So yeah, definitely buildable. Added a little bit more coverage for sure. It'll also kind of even everything out when I put concealer on the rest of my makeup. It always looks kind of funny when you just have foundation on your face, but so far so good. Okay, so I am gonna do concealer, blush, bronzer, and then I'll probably come back and maybe do powder with you, because I would assume this is definitely one you're gonna wanna set down a little bit. All right, I'm gonna do that and I'll be back. Let's set my face because we have all creams and liquids on right now. So I'm going to use my favorite powder. I use this all the time, so I'm not worried about using it with a new foundation. This is the Haus Labs powder. Foundation still looks really pretty with everything else on top, but we definitely want some powder. So I'm going to focus it here. This is mainly where I get shiny, is right beside my nose here. So that side has powder. That side has no powder. I like this Haus Labs powder because it definitely sets the makeup without taking away all of the glow from your face. All right, so there it is with powder. Definitely going to be one I would say you would want to powder. It's not one that feels like it would set down on its own. I would definitely say you're going to need to powder this, especially if you have an oilier skin type. But I mean, it looks pretty. I like it even more now that I've set with the Haus Labs powder. I'm gonna finish up everything else. I'll come back and kind of look at everything again, so I'll be back. All right, finished with the makeup, and I wanted to show you what it looks like with everything else applied. Honestly, it looks really good, really smooth. I definitely prefer it with the powder. I definitely think, like I said earlier, even if you have a drier skin type, I think you're probably gonna wanna use a little bit of powder with this. It's not overly luminous, like to the point where it looks oily, but it definitely has some glow and it has that hydration to it too. So I do think you're definitely gonna wanna set this one with powder, but setting with the Haus Labs powder worked really well. It looks really good, very smooth, everything applied well. And even after setting, I mean, I still have a little bit of glow. Now, some of it's coming from my blush and bronzer, but still, even after setting everywhere else, it still has a little bit of glow to it. So it's not flat matte, even with setting it, which I personally really like. But obviously, we want to see how it wears. Like I said in the beginning, it kind of brings everything together when you apply concealer and blush and bronzer. And now the shade is fine with my current coloring. So hopefully that helps you picking a shade. I know picking out shades online can be really hard, especially when there's 50 of them. But this one is fine for me right now. So I have some errands I have to go run, and I'm gonna wear this all day. I will try to show you when I'm in my car in a little bit, because I feel like you can usually see really well in the car. And we'll wear this, see how it wears. So I will see you in a few hours. Hi, it's been like, let's see, 3-ish hours since I applied this makeup. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see out here. The light is not great because it's kind of cloudy. But this is what the makeup is looking like. Still looks pretty good. I have a little bit of wear here on the side of my nose because I've been in my car and I have sunglasses on, and I've never found a foundation that doesn't leave or doesn't wear away when you put sunglasses on. Even if I powder in that area, it still happens to me. But it's kind of hot today. It's 85 degrees right now. So, I mean, other than that, it doesn't look bad. Maybe you can kind of see here. I mean, it doesn't look like it's really worn away anywhere. It looks pretty good to me, but it's only been like 3-ish hours. So I'll come back and update you again in a few hours. But I mean, overall, looks pretty good. I don't know that I'm like blown away by it at this point. I like it, but I don't know. We'll see how it looks in a few more hours. One other thing I was gonna say is I do feel like I've gotten a little bit shiny right here, which if I do with makeup, it's always like right here. So I do think I could definitely use a little bit of powder like right here. I feel like a little bit oily right there. So that's pretty standard. I mean, it's kind of hot. I've been out for a while, so just wanted to point that out. But overall, doesn't look bad. But I will see you in a few hours. All right, it's been a few more hours. It's been like 6-ish hours now that I've had this makeup on. So I'm just standing in front of a window. It's kind of overcast, but I think you can still see pretty well. I mean, the makeup looks pretty good, to be honest. It hasn't really worn off too badly anywhere, and I was definitely sweating a little bit today because it's not as hot as it gets in like the dead of summer here, but it's definitely been warmer today than it has been. So, I mean, overall, I think it looks pretty good, honestly. I mean, you can see my sunglasses mark there that I mentioned earlier when I was in my car. But other than that, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, it looks good. I do think, I mean, we'll see in a few more hours. I still think I could powder here. I didn't end up powdering at all today, so I haven't touched up at all in 6 hours. But I do think I could use maybe a little bit of powder right here. But other than that, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, pretty smooth. I'm happy with it overall. I do want to keep wearing it for probably another 2 hours, maybe a little bit longer than that, but I wanted to get in front of this window here so you could see what it looks like in natural light as well. So I'm gonna keep wearing it and I will see you in a few more hours. All right, it's the end of the night. I'm about to go take my makeup off, but I wanted to show you what the makeup looks like after it's been a little bit over 8 hours now since I applied this. And overall, I think it looks good. I will definitely say now, hopefully, I think it should pick up on the camera, but definitely very, very shiny right here, like very, very shiny. And I don't have oily skin. Now I can have a little bit of an oilier T-zone when it's hot, and we just went on a pretty long walk. I've been like out and about today and it was pretty hot here today. So I have been in the heat and I mean, you can definitely tell, but I have not touched up my face with any powder. So, I mean, I could easily remedy this with a little bit of setting powder and that would fix the issue. I don't think, like, it hasn't broken down the makeup at all. Like, it's still there. It's just, I'm pretty shiny here. And my skin is normal. Typically, sometimes a bit oily in the T-zone. So there's that. I don't know on this one. If you have really oily skin, I don't know. I don't know about this. I think combo would be okay. Super oily, I don't know that this is going to be enough for you. I know it says that it combats oil throughout the day in the description. I don't know about that because I'm not the oiliest person and I definitely, I mean, I can see getting shiny right here. So I would say if you have really oily skin, probably not. If you have dry skin, I bet you would really like this. If you like a medium-ish coverage, I bet you would like it. I will say, I mean, although it looks shiny, it looks pretty still. It just looks like I need some powder, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But the wear overall, I think is good. I like it. I really like how my makeup wore today in general. So I like it, but this is just my first time using it. I will obviously keep wearing it. Like I said in the application earlier, it has a glow. It's not the glowiest foundation though that I've ever tried by any means. It's more of like a hydrated type of glow than like a metallic kind of glow product. So it has some glow though. So it says it's a notch above a natural finish, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that. It's not the glowiest, but it's a little bit more glow than a typical straight down the line natural finish foundation. Something else I was going to mention that I thought of earlier, I forgot. Fenty had a hydrating foundation that came in a tube a few years ago, and I want to say I did a video on that like in the first year of my YouTube channel, and then I guess this is the replacement for that. I remember a while ago. Those got marked down and clearanced at Sephora, so I'm guessing this is the new version. That was definitely in like a plastic tube packaging, where this is a really nice frosted glass bottle. I don't really remember my thoughts on that foundation though. I might go back and watch it, honestly, if I am remembering correctly. I think I have a video on it. But anyways, overall, I like this. Am I like blown away by it? No. But for a glowier foundation, I think the wear is pretty good. And that's usually my main complaint with glowier complexion products, is sometimes they don't wear as well. This one wears pretty well, but if you're really oily, I don't know that you're gonna love this. I think this might be a little bit too much for you. I don't know about all the neutral shades, but I would say again, in this foundation, based on the shade that I got, which is 230, the neutral definitely leans on the warm side. So if you are unsure, I might go with a cool shade instead of a neutral shade. And if you buy a warm shade, I'm guessing it's going to be even warmer. So just keep that in mind. I do think the neutrals lean slightly warm. Before we wrap up the video, one other thing I did want to mention. I did not use any primer today, which I'm not a huge primer person anyway. I kind of rely on my skincare beforehand as primer, so that's not unusual. But typically when I do my makeup, if I'm actually doing my whole face, I do use a setting spray pretty much always, and I typically use this one, the Charlotte Tilbury. I did not use this today. Just wanted to point that out as well. So I would love to, you know, continue using this again, try it with the setting spray, try it with a different powder maybe, but I did want to point that out since I didn't do exactly what I normally do in terms of makeup application today, and it still wore well. It just got a little bit shiny by the end of the day. But I think that's everything that I wanted to say. I will obviously keep wearing it and update you in future videos, but overall, I do recommend it. I think it's nice if you like this type of finish, this type of coverage, and it sounds like it would work for your skin type. I think it's nice. Thank you so much for watching. I will have the foundation linked for you below. I do use affiliate links that support my channel. I will also link everything else that I used today if you are curious about anything. I've been getting a lot of questions about my self-tanner. I keep mentioning the self-tanner in the videos, but then I don't link it, so I'm sorry. I will link it from now on in the description box, but it's from Coco and Eve, and it's the shade Dark. I've been getting a lot of DMs on Instagram and comments on here, so I just wanted to say that, but it will be in the description box as well. Thank you for watching. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe and follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you next time for another video. Remember, simply be you. Bye.